Thank you for sending the minutes. Thanks for sending the minutes, Raymond. Does anyone have any corrections to the minutes?
No, I didn't receive them. I didn't receive any packet for this meeting. It might have been my fault, but I did. So.
That's the same one that was sent on the 18th?
Yes, I'll check. Mary, you should have been included because that's the list I always use, but I'll double check.
Right.
But I'll forward those to you.
Thank you. It could be that my mailbox was full when you sent it.
Oh,
And I didn't think about it until today. So.
okay. Well, if you review them and you see that there are any changes or updates or corrections, please let me know.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, the minutes are accepted then. Let's see here. So we have a few guests tonight, and I think guests go first. If anyone has any comments to make, the floor is yours for the next few minutes. Would anyone like to have a statement prepared or want to talk? No one wants the spotlight? No, we're all here to listen. Okay, great.
Yeah, no, I'm looking for my raise my hand thing, but maybe I'll just speak up. My name's Dave White,
Hi,
and
Dave.
I'm with the 4th on 53rd. I'm one of the volunteers for preparing the events for the 4th of July and beyond. And I wanted to just get the word out that it's back. We're doing all the events, the parade, the celebration in the park, and the Sunday summer concert series that goes throughout the summer. And as you know, we just did the park piece last year, and we learned a lot how to use that park to get a lot more done in there. So we expect to have an even better celebration this 4th of July. And we always need input and volunteers. And we'll be having regular meetings now starting on Wednesdays at 6, which I will share those links with Diane so that those of you who have a yen to help us organize, come on.
Thanks. Anyone else? All right, David, I think we'll circle back to you in Diane's programming section of this meeting.
Thank you.
Pleasure. All right, let's talk about the monthly financial report. Diane, are you going to walk us through this?
Yes, I can. Why don't we go through the financials and then the budget tracker, and then I also on the agenda I'm going to present the budget modification. And then I also just put the 2021 audit, which was attached in the email to all, that we have engaged the auditor for the 2021 audit, which is due to the city in May. So that began, I believe, Monday, which is yesterday. Can you believe it? It's only Tuesday. So I'm going to pull up the financials, and this is for the month of February because we're always a month off. Sorry, my computer takes its lovely sweet time. And where is it? Okay, so this is our, oops. Can everyone see the financials? I'll make them a little bigger. All right, this is our financial statement as of February 28, 2022. Typically, either myself or Isaac or George, as George is a finance committee member, will run through the financials. So I will go ahead and do that at this time. Our financial position as of February 28th, we had $49,262 in our account. Keep in mind, part of that was our carryover from 2020 and 2021. Our total assets, the receivables is $281,415. Total assets would be $336,77. Due to SEC, see if you look down, is accounts payable due to SECC, that 13,000 has been paid. But this 280, that's our levy for this for this calendar year 2022. So as you all may recall from last year, we do not get our city disbursements until usually they start coming in March, April. So we'll get our first large disbursement usually in the second quarter of the year. And by the third quarter, end of third quarter, we get our second large disbursement. I believe to date we received a very small disbursement and of like $700 or something. So total liabilities and assets is 336.77. That does include our carryover, which is that temporary restricted, the 44,934. And so that's our state of financial position. Our budget versus actual. Yes, Mary.
Can I ask, yeah, back on the previous, why is the deferred revenue the same for 22 and 21, and then up in the accounts receivable, it's also the same in both years?
I think I'm not quite sure. Maybe this is based on the original budget that was submitted to Isaac, but I'm going to make a note because that does seem almost too coincidental.
Mm-hmm.
So that is accounts receivable. I'm surprised we didn't catch that.
Is the deferred revenue what's promised from the city in terms of
Correct. Of the
tax
levy.
collections?
Correct.
Yeah, well, then that's what it is. So that's the deferred revenue. So we had the same allotment both years?
No, because the levy changed. So I think that's
Okay, well then, then it's wrong. So you need to tell Isaac.
February 281. Sorry, I'm making notes. I don't know why we didn't catch this at the finance
Can you
committee.
make up the numbers a little bigger for the seniors?
Oh, sure. I guess I'm cheating because I have my readers on.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that.
I can guess. I'm not going to, but I do think that's the norm for how we report. Like, I think that, don't we usually see that?
Yeah, it's possible. I
I don't know that
apologize. I'm not the strongest in reading financial statements.
Okay, well, we'll have to circle back with
it's an
Isaac. That's a great
yes.
question.
It's an accrued counting, and so it's possible he's recognizing the financial position compared to 21, but I know our levy is larger this year. So, and then 755 is what came in so far this year. And then spending is still fairly low because the first quarter of the year, we're always doing planning and city contracts, maintaining our website, maintaining our outreach and social media, maintaining our print materials. And that I believe was the annual report, garbage removal, which is clean slate litter abatement, bookkeeping, rent, so it's a very quiet start to the year with spending. Are there any questions? And I can pull up the budget tracker from George. Okay, I will do so. Oh, there's George. Hey, George. How did I do, George?
Fine. I was just going to add that I would bet money that those duplicate numbers are simply a copy and paste error, because in our finance meeting, Isaac was rapidly moving numbers from one era to the other, and I think that was just a mistake on his part. We should look into it and get the correct numbers. We would have noticed that in the finance committee last week because we talked about it in detail, and I'm pretty sure those were not the numbers that we saw at that point. But he was revising the financial statement to reflect the decisions that we were making during the meeting. So I think he probably just made a copy and paste error there.
I do want to make note that now that George is on and James Nurse, we do have a quorum.
Great.
And so I will proceed to the budget tracker, and then we're going to go through the budget modification because I know a couple people may have to jump off early, and that is one of our items for vote today. So let me pull that up, and George, you can help me through it.
Just in time.
Yeah, see? So you guys don't have to painfully listen to me go through it.
Just for the record, I'm on vacation this week, so.
So he said he would join if we needed a quorum. So here we are. All right, so I'll keep this, we'll just go through. As we mentioned before, not a lot has happened this this year so far. So this was updated on March 15th at our last finance committee. Our total levy, if I scroll over, as I was mentioning, is $295,741. So it is higher than what was stated on the financial statement of that 281. So that just might be an error. 348,641 is our total budget this year because we had a $52,900 carryover, which on the financial statements, you can see we've already started spending some things because we know bills come in January and February, and then we also were honoring some commitments we had made, thus we carried over. George, do you have anything you want to point out?
No, it's just, it's so early in the year, of course, revenues are not coming in yet, so there really isn't much to track at this point. I do make sure that the numbers that we have on here match with Isaac's to the penny, and if they don't, he and I reconcile it. We make sure that it comes out right. So personally, I find the budget tracker easier to follow, and I think that's a pretty accurate account of where we are at this point.
Yep. And so for those who are wondering, wait, why do you guys do a budget tracker again? Because I know there's a couple new people on the line, maybe SACC board members or newer commissioners. We do the budget tracker as our own internal backup to the financial statements. Not that we don't trust our accountant, but it is our way to track what we're spending, what needs to be spent. It's kind of our way of tracking it. And last year, as you all know, it was very helpful because we had a surplus that we never have had before. And so the budget tracker was really helpful in me creating a spend down plan. So that's why, you know, it's just really helpful. And so George, bless his heart, has taken ownership of that project tracker, and it really helps. It helps a lot. So are there any questions before I move on to the budget modification?
Was there any reason why Isaac wasn't available?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
And,
I will have to reach out to him, but.
And also, if we ever, you know, if they ever decide to pay wages for this job, we would recommend that George get time and a half or double time for being on vacation.
Yay.
That's true. George deserves a vacation for sure.
Yes, he does.
Okay, so I'm gonna get to the part where we need to go through and just pulling up our meeting, our work plan. Okay. We'll close the budget tracker so we don't have any confusion. So we had to do a budget modification. We can do them a few times per year. We decided to do it at the end of the first quarter, which is why we're voting on it tonight. Because if you all recollect, in like September of last year, we voted to change the budget for a full-time staff. That was for 2021's budget. So 2022's budget still had to be modified to match what we had been talking about previously, because the city requires us to submit our budget in July for the next year. So July of last year, we were just going through a personnel change. So that's why we're doing that today. So that way it's more reflective and it is more accurate. So I'm gonna share it on the screen, and then I'm gonna walk through it and each of the changes that I did make.
Yeah, we should add to that, Diane, that there's also the carryover, that we did not know the amount of the carryover when we submitted the budget back in July. We don't know that until January of this year. So we
Correct.
also have to incorporate those carryover funds into the budget.
Correct. So on this budget summary sheet, some areas to note, our goals for the budget modification was our full-time staff and keeping our staff salary management personnel under 30%, which I will show you when we get to tab 7. Our total levy, 295,741 is still the same. Our total budget, 348,641 is still the same. And so a part of this budget modification is making sure everything adds up, because it still has to be the same levy and the same carryover. Our total carryover for 2020 was 25,176, and our total carryover for 2021 was 27,724, for a total of 52,900, which you'll see here. And this main page kind of breaks down where we're budgeting the money, but I'm going to get into the thick of it by just going through the tabs and pointing out what we've changed. If you notice down here, the 8.16% that the levy changed in 2021, we did a public meeting, George and I. We were the only two on the call, but it is recorded and it's on our website, informing the community that the levy was greater than 5% increase. The overview.
Dan, can I add on that? Just this has been recorded. It's important that we make sure that it's clear that it's the amount that we generated from the levy. The levy itself did not change. Our tax rate has been the same for 8 years. We have never changed it. So it's simply the property values have increased enough in the neighborhood that the amount of money that we're taking in increased by over the 5% minimum that mandated a community meeting to explain it. So, but we have not raised the levy. It's still the same percent it's always been.
Thanks, George. I appreciate that. Okay, so the overview summary is really the narrative. And what's important for me in the modification is making sure that all the line items that we did change in the budget from last year to this year, if it's an increase or decrease of 25%, gets noted here. So that's something, we'll share if people would like to read further. It was in the email. But to go through what has changed. So let me scoot over. I don't know if there's a way to get this all in one page, but without it being too small, I apologize. 1.01 website, we did add $5,000 from the carryover. That was based on our website, our new commitment to a new website. And so we did pay half in December and the other half will be paid when the website is complete. 1.02 in special events, we added $5,000 carryover, and that $5,000 carryover is for the support of the 4th on 53rd parade coming back in full force, in full steam. We changed 1.07, which is print materials. We reduced it from 10,000 to 8,000. 1.09 brand placement. We have a $3,000 carryover that we added. That is for a tentative calendar project that is coming out of the program committee, perhaps a SSA 61 downtown Hyde Park calendar for 2023 that we would design for branding. And 1.10 Hyde Park Farmers Market, we reduced it from 10,000 to 8,000. And that was based on the success of the market bringing in revenue last year. Then when we move to 2.0 public way aesthetics, in 2.02, I'll make sure you guys can see this. 2.02, we increased landscaping from 32,554 to 32,558. That goes along with our current contract. I want to make sure that was accurate. 2.03 facade, we reduced 8,000 to 6,000. That would be if we wanted to do some facade improvement programs this year. 2.06 public art, The total is $8,000. We have $4,000 from the 2022 budget, which we reduced from 6,000, and we put 4,000 for the carryover. So what we did was reduce the total and then add in the some carryover dollars for viaduct art, public art. There's a couple more mural locations I'm looking at this year in partnership with others. So hopefully we can do a couple more beautification and public art efforts.
And these carryover amounts are very important because we can't carry over an amount for a second year. They have to be expended this year. So all that carryover amount has to be entered into the budget for this year so that we can prove that we've spent that money. We can carry over this year's funds to next year, but we cannot carry over the carryover.
Correct. So 2.12 garbage removal, litter abatement, we increased from 32,000 to 34,000. There was a slight increase for clean slate services, which is anticipated. Whether it's annual, biannual, there's going to be slight increases based on payroll and workers. Then if we go to 3.0, which is sustainability and public enhancements. For 3.3, we did reduce from 8,000 to 5,250. Again, because we have another art installation line, and this would be really public transit enhancements, focusing on viaduct or art installation around the viaducts. And since we just did that at the end of last year, we reduced some of that funds. 3.06, park improvements landscaping for Nichols Park. We reduced from 7,000 to 5,000, but we added a $5,000 carryover. Tab 4, which is economic development and business development. There's only one line item in here, and that's 4.09. That's for the expansion and recertification of SSA 61. We put 10,000 in the budget and an additional 30,900 in the carryover. As we know, reconstitution is going to cost. This year, we're going to have to do a feasibility study. So that requires us to hire consultants. And we haven't had to work with consultants in a while, but if some of us remember a few years back when we first started kind of looking at how do we expand the footprint, it was fairly costly. So we made sure to put that carryover in there. Now, again, if we have to, we could modify the budget in the fall. So this is just our first modification. So we have accuracy as we move forward. 5.0, there was no changes. 6.0 at 6.02 for the audit. 4750 is the cost. There was an increase for this year. 6.06 office supplies. We reduced it from 1,500 to 500. That was it for 6.0. So management and personnel kind of go together because this is the section where we have to be under 30%, which you will see in a moment. The biggest change that we have, other than the carryover amount for the SSA designation, 7.01 is the hiring of a full-time program manager. Total SSA cost 52,000, and then 7.02 administrative support, that would be for Raymond's time at 6,000. And if we go down here, all the numbers match. I was so proud of myself. I did this by myself, and then I brought it to finance committee. It was amazing. But we're at 27.19%. So we're not even at a full 30% that we could, out of good faith, SECC never has ever done a full 30%. And so that is our budget modifications. Questions?
Very good.
Thank you. I think this is the first time I had to do it fully. So I was like, I've learned, and I feel like now I am in a place where I can train someone. So with that, Greg, I guess you call for an approval, right?
Does someone want to make a motion to approve the budget changes?
So moved. Eric.
Is there
Second,
a second? Great. All in favor of accepting the budget changes, say aye.
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 Great.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? All right, our modification is approved. Thanks, Diane.
Thank you. So just so everyone knows, the next step is I will upload that budget modification along with the meeting minutes from tonight's meeting to the city's SharePoint. So that way the Department of Planning, who is our oversight for SSA, it's in the system. So there's no additional process needed. And so
Question.
Greg, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, Diane, I have a question. George, do we have to do the votes individually like we've done in the past where the names are called?
If
Or
you
is
want to
it
be
fine?
fully compliant, yes.
Okay, that's what.
All right, let's do a name call. Anthony Beach is not here. Greg Gutman is a yes. Angie Marks, not here. Shaka Khan, not, sorry, Shaka Mitchell. Shaka Khan is not
Shaka
here.
Khan.
And Shaka Mitchell is not here either.
She'll be here at the next one.
Charles, how do you vote? We're voting to approve the budget modifications.
Whose name did you call?
Charles
Charles.
Newsom,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
James Nurse,
I vote yes.
Mary Rogel,
Yes.
George Rumsey,
Yes.
Nancy Stanek, I don't believe is here. Eric Thompson,
Yes.
Wendy Williams.
Yes.
Did I miss anybody? Okay, great. Well, great. Well, we have a approved budget modification. So thank you, guys.
And Ramon, just be sure to include all those names in the minutes so there is a paper record of it.
All right, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Diane, did you want to talk more about the audit?
I shared the audit engagement letter and the timeline. So the goal is to have, I didn't want to pull up the letter, but I just want everyone to acknowledge that it is attached to your email that we sent out on Friday. And the audit was scheduled to begin on Monday, yesterday, and it is scheduled to, bye George, thank you so much for coming. And it is scheduled to conclude, I believe, on that Monday before our next meeting. So the goal is to have the audit back, send it out, and so we can vote on it and then submit it to the city. Last year, we did have to call a special meeting to do that. So in the event we can't get the turnaround that quickly, we may have to call a special meeting for voting. And that's all I have. Back to you, Greg.
All right. Well, Diane has led us through an extensive search for a program manager for the SSA. I think almost 5 or 6 months now. And she has scoured the land and identified the best candidate. So I'm proud to tell you that we've hired Roderick Sawyer, who is on the call. So there's a lot to say about Roderick. We're going to announce this to the public in about a month, but we wanted this board to know. Rod's been serving in Hyde Park for decades. For those who don't know him, he's a Hyde Parker. I think when you get to know him, you'll know that he cares a lot about the neighborhood, the people, the businesses. He's competent and smart and sincere. I think all the trustworthy, all the qualities that we were hoping to find. And I know this because I've served with him on other boards. He's been a board member of the Chamber of Commerce. He helped start the 53rd Street TIF and served on the board of the 53rd Street TIF. Let's see, he is a current, he runs a software and marketing company for the last few years. So I think he's also going to help raise our tech IQ in the operation, which is we're excited about. And let's see, he works Hyde Park Kenwood Community Conference, right, as a book sale manager. Technical consultant and program committee chairperson for Off the Pews. which is a Faith in Action Ltd. So you can see like Rod participates in a lot and he leads a lot. And I think we're going to really benefit from all of his experience. So Rod, welcome to this group. And I hope you just wouldn't mind taking a few minutes just to tell everybody in your words, better than I could, about your background, maybe what I missed.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for those kind words. I do have to make a modification because Charles Newsom is going to correct the record later. I wasn't on the initial TIF council. I got there a few years later. So I think Charles and other people were the initial people who started the TIF and participated all the way through.
Got it. You were just, how many years did you participate on the TIF?
I participated, I think I started in 2003 and roughly sometime 2011, it was after Alderman Burns had taken office. So it was from that point through the rest of Alderperson Preckwinkle's office. But I had a lot of fun on that TIF council. Charles, you definitely remember many of those days.
I do. I mean, you was there so active, it seemed like you were there for the full period of time. So, you know, you could be correct in either way.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I'm seeing many people I recognize on this call. Mary, when I was working for Chicago Hyde Park Village, Dave, Stephanie, many of y'all, Wendy, many of those walks we had on the lakefront talking about Hyde Park. I'll say this, I'll be very brief. For a long time, I was afraid to walk down 53rd Street. And it wasn't for the reasons you might think. It wasn't protest or it wasn't safety or anything. I would walk down 53rd Street for something simple and I'd get lost. I'd get lost in a conversation. And the first time I felt comfortable with walking down 53rd Street is when Greg and I walked last week. And at that point, my wife and kids knew where I was. They didn't have to look at the phone tracker and say, okay, we send Rod out for something simple, send him to CVS or Target or to the bank, and then 2 hours later, you know, he comes back. By the way, Wendy, I got in trouble with you one time walking by the lake like that. I didn't come back in the allotted time and my family really on me, but that was the one thing that was always fun about walking, not just working and participating in the neighborhood, but running into people and talking about the issues, the problems, the challenges, and the joys of being a part of Hyde Park. So I look forward not only to the work, much of what Diane mentioned through the budget and all of that. But I look forward to walking down 53rd Street like we did, Greg, and talk about what's there now, some of the history, some of the attitudes. And Dave, you already know that I'm going to work on the parade. Dave's daughter and my daughter are like sisters. They were raised together. They're still close throughout this day, and they cry because they're now states apart now. But I really appreciate coming to work for all of you all and coming to serve you all. And if I haven't met you, I'll meet you. And at some point or another, we'll get together and we'll spend some time talking.
Thanks, Fred. Does anyone have any?
I just would like to say we're very happy to have Rod on board. I've known Rod as a community member my whole 8 years at SECC, and who better to select than a Hyde Parker themselves who can help build the relationships we need to continue the work of the SSA as we start reconstitution. Someone who knows the businesses, someone that knows the neighbors, somebody that is comfortable, like a chameleon, just melding their way through it all. And so we're just so happy to have Rod. And just so you know, he's starting on Monday, the 28th. I'm going to be throwing him into the fire. I've got some things already for him ready to go. And again, you all will get a chance to meet him because one of the things he said to me recently was, well, the office is nice and all, but my office is out there on the street, you know? So I was like, I think we got the right person. So welcome, Rod. We're really happy to have you. Are there any other comments or questions for Rod?
I just want to add my welcome to you too, Rod. It's going to be good to work with you again.
Thank you. It'd be good to work with you. And I like the word again.
Welcome, Rod.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. And you say you coming to serve the SSA, but actually you are going to serve the SSA. You've already served the community of Hyde Park, and you will. I know you will continue to serve the community of Hyde Park. And welcome aboard. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to add my welcome. I'm so glad that you're going to be part of the SSA. I think it's great.
Stephanie, I look forward to working with you as where we, it's becoming a wonderful word again. We've
Thank you.
spent a lot of time talking, and as someone said, I've spent decades working. I've spent decades following the things that you're doing.
Maybe that's a good segue to programming. That's your cue, Diane.
I know. I said yes. I got to unmute
Okay, you're on
myself.
mute.
Yes. So programming, short and sweet, because it's the first quarter. We are knee deep in the planning of the 2022 Farmers Market. Thank you again to Wintrust and Hyde Park Bank for use of the parking lot on Sundays. We're really excited to bring it back and expand it a little bit more. I believe to date, we've already had like 25 applications for vendors, and we are in the process of working on community activations and also entertainment activations. Now I'm going to tell this group, but if you've ever heard of a local jazz band in Hyde Park called Thaddeus Tukes, they are going to be performing at our opening day. So I just want to let everyone know I got that squared away this last week. So really excited to have some entertainment this year. So please be on the lookout. That date is June 5th. It's a Sunday, and the ribbon cutting will be at 10 a.m., but the market opens at 9. So I really am encouraging all commissioners to come out and help cut the ribbon and shop with our vendors and support the work. Then from there, I did put the website is still in process. We did have some issues with the website with the domain transfer. Now, this is all technical stuff that I can't explain fully, but the domain transfer had some challenges. And so we are now pushing ahead with migrating all of the archives, because it's 8 years of archives that lived on that site. And the site is still active, it's just not updated. We've been using hydeparkcares.com as our temporary site. And that was the site we created during the pandemic as COVID relief for businesses. Program committee, just a shout out that our program committee is always the first Tuesday of the month. So our next one will be Tuesday, April 5th at 10 a.m. Right now we're doing it virtually. It's often Mary, myself, occasionally Charles Newsom and Anthony Beach join. And also Rod will be a part of that moving forward. And really that's an opportunity to work with commissioners to figure out like, hey, these are the programs that are coming up. Is there opportunities to do things? And it kind of was so helpful last year when we had that influx of money, to be honest. And that's how we ended up doing 2 mural projects under 2 viaducts last year, was because of that. So, shout out to that small group, but anyone is welcome to join. I have sent a calendar invite to the entire commission for all of you to join. So it's on your calendar, it'll pop up and you're like, what is this meeting? That's program committee. So come on through, come join us. We've got some exciting things coming this year with new banners. We're hoping to do a people, place, and thing banner competition this year where people can submit submissions to be on banners of people, places, or things Hyde Park. Also perhaps a calendar project, and then all the other amazing things we do. So come on through. And then last but not least, I did want to talk about the 4th on 53rd request that we did get from Nichols Park Advisory Council, and Dave is on the call on behalf of the fundraising committee. I did not get a chance to send that full letter out, but it was sent to Greg and I am gonna pull it up. I just have to think about where it went, where I put it. Sorry, you know, I've got like all these folders. But ultimately, the question that some of you may be asking is that, you know, what did we give last year? So last year we gave $2,500, and that was to help bring the parade back, because in 2020 there was no parade. So last year, instead of a parade, they just did the picnic. So this year, part of the special request is to help, is for the SSA to become a founder level and to help the committee bring back the full parade. So it would be the parade, the picnic, and the summer concert series, which is also coming back this year, which is something that we haven't had in a couple years. And so we just voted on it in our budget, but I wanted to take a moment to allow Dave to say a couple things, so that way this group, if you have any questions before we make our final decision on that. Dave?
Thank you, Diane. That's a great intro. And let me just say first that I so appreciate the help I've gotten from Diane. She's a very good advisor. You know, I started out in 2019 as balloon boy, you know, filling the helium into the balloons, and then the pandemic. So last year I took on arranging just the park part. And so I've been, you know, kind of spearheading the organization this year, although, you know, those of you that have been involved know how many moving parts and how many volunteers it takes. So bringing back the parade and the summer concert series from hibernation has, you know, some opportunities, but also challenges. You know, the opportunities is we have a chance to, you know, evolve and grow these events a little bit. And the challenges are that this used to be something manned by, you know, small, you know, volunteer efforts and donations from our merchants on 53rd Street, but a lot of them are still tender from the pandemic years. And so getting foundational support from the SSA really helps us jumpstart our fundraising efforts. And we really see that, you know, some of these events are diamonds in the rough, and one of the things it's going to do is bring people back to the 53rd Street corridor. It'll bring life back right on to 53rd Street. And this happens not just with the 4th of July events, but our concert series brings people on Sunday afternoons into the parks, and it continues after that. We do a pumpkin patch in the fall. We do a New Year's Eve celebrations. All of them are well attended, and our sponsors get exposure for all those events. So yeah, we are both excited to keep working with the SSA and SECC as we develop this, and always looking for new partners as we come back from hibernation. But if some of you were at the park celebration last year, it was absolutely delightful. We were able to change up many of the things we do and bring in some new participants, and able to use the park in a more efficient and beneficial way. So it was a delightful afternoon, and we think we're going to do the same thing this year.
Thanks for that, Dave. I also want to shamelessly plug, if you have some extra time to give, the 4th on 53rd will be starting their planning committee meetings in the next week or two, and they are looking for new committee members. As you know, committees and service is hard sometimes because you have to pick and choose. And so if you know anyone, whether that's employees, neighbors, coworkers, people that you think would love an opportunity to serve, this is a great group because it's short-term planning. It only happens once a year for, their commitment is really like 3 to 5 months at the most. So just want to put that out there.
Yeah, that's right. There's, we have volunteer opportunities at all levels of this. I certainly could use help in the planning stages. I'm still, even though I did it, the park part last year, I'm something of a newbie still. Certainly day of, I hope you guys can all come out and enjoy, but if some of you have time to volunteer, that would be fantastic. And then on the events all throughout the summer, your support just in being there and of course, spreading the word are so important.
Thanks, Dave.
Dan, is that your report?
Yeah, one more plug is, again, if you need to complete your updated city ethics form, Raymond may have reached out to you already, and we'll send a reminder to those that need to update their form. I believe it's something that happens every year. So please keep that in mind. And we did attach that again to that email. No, there's a lot of attachments, but we just want to make sure everyone it's very, communicated and transparent.
And I might add, especially for the new people, that there are 2 that we have to fill out. One is for the city, one is for the county. And they often look like they're the same when they send out the announcements.
Let's take some questions and comments from commissioners. This is a very quiet crowd tonight. We're all hungry and want to give back to our families, it seems like.
And things are running well, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Thanks, Dan.
You've kept us
Just
together.
because we're bringing Rod on board does not mean that I'm not going to be involved. I will be at every meeting, maybe not every program committee, but I will be at every finance committee. I'm going to be onboarding Rod this quarter and making sure he feels comfortable. There's a lot coming down the pike, especially in this quarter with the drafting the new budget, the audit, figuring out a reconstitution subcommittee. So those of you that are interested in the reconstitution and joining Greg, Rod, and I, and probably George and probably Wendy, let us know. But that's going to be a big task. So there's a lot going to happen this year. So thank you all so much for all of your dedication and commitment. You have made my job easier, and I really just want everyone to know that. I appreciate you.
We just ask that you stay strong. And you stay strong, you'll produce like you always have.
This doesn't even work for me. Working with Diane and Raymond, this is fun.
Great. Okay. That's okay.
We are meeting Tuesday, April 26th, back at our normal time at 11 a.m. So hopefully we will see everybody there next month. I think we are adjourned unless anyone has any final comments to make. Once, twice, 3 times. Okay, thank you so much for